313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Welcome to the African History Network show. It is Wednesday, May 4th, 2022, and we are live. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. We're broadcasting right here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF here in Detroit, and also on our social media platforms, the African History Network on Facebook, and Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP, on YouTube. Well, this morning, a lot of people awoke to the news of an attack on Dave Chappelle, comedian Dave Chappelle, who has drawn criticism in the past few months because of statements regarding the trans community, transgender people. But Dave Chappelle was tackled last night at a comedy show in LA. Okay, so a lot of people woke up to this news today. Dave Chappelle attacked on stage by Dave Chappelle attacked on stage in LA by an outraged fan, and the man was armed with a replica of a gun that had a blade attached to it. He was armed with a replica of a gun that had a blade attached to it. So Good Morning America has a story about this, as well as Hollywood Reporter. All the news outlets are reporting on this. So I posted an article about this early this morning. Okay, has almost 1,000 likes on it and a ton of comments. Hollywood Reporter has a story on this. Dave Chappelle attacked on stage at Hollywood Bowl. It was so the man was arrested. He was stopped. So Dave Chappelle was not hurt. He was stopped by security, and Busta Rhymes was there, and Jamie Foxx, and they helped secure the man. So he's been arrested, 23-year-old man. So we have some details on that, some updates on that. Dave Chappelle is all right, so that's good. And Dave Chappelle has said recently that he needs to beef up his security also. Okay, so isn't that this happened? So we're going to talk about that. And then another story that we reported on some months ago, and then we see some movement on this, deals with menthol cigarettes in the African-American community. Menthol cigarettes in the African-American community. So we know some months ago, we know the Food and Drug Administration under the Biden administration was proposing banning menthol cigarettes. Okay. And menthol cigarettes appeal to African Americans. They have a minty taste to them. 85% of African Americans who smoke menthol cigarettes, Cools and Newport, things like this. So there's a proposed ban, and the ban is advancing. It hasn't gone into effect yet. It hasn't been totally finalized, but it's progressing towards a ban on the manufacture of menthol cigarettes. Now, you have some in the African-American community who are applauding the ban, and it is, one estimate shows that it can save 640,000 lives over the next 40 years, and about 230,000 of those lives will be African Americans. You have some others who are against the ban and say that it will unfairly target African Americans. They may be harassed by police, etc. Okay, so we have some information on that. And April Ryan, who's the White House correspondent for the Griot, April Ryan asked a question to Jen Psaki, White House press secretary Jen Psaki, a couple days ago at a White House press briefing. So I'm going to let you hear what happened there also. Okay, so we're having some technical difficulties here. Just bear with me. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, the computer's freezing up for some reason. So we're going to talk about how the tobacco industry targeted African Americans with menthol cigarettes. How the tobacco industry targeted African Americans with menthol cigarettes. And this is extremely important because one of the ways that they did this is through marketing and sponsoring jazz festivals, sponsoring events where African Americans attend, like the Cool Jazz Festival, sponsored by Cool Cigarettes. Okay, so we're going to look at some of the ways that cigarettes were marketed to the African American community after the cigarette companies knew the harmful effects of cigarettes. The American Cancer, so I think it's the American Lung Association. The American Lung Association has some information that we've dealt with before, and I'm going to see if I can pull this up here. And it deals with how the number of known carcinogens that are in cigarette smoke. Okay, what's in a cigarette? What's in a cigarette? So there, a lot of people don't know this, but there are approximately 600 ingredients in cigarettes. There are approximately 600 ingredients in cigarettes. Only a fraction of those ingredients are listed on the package. Okay, so this should cause you to start asking more questions. We look at this very quickly here from the American Lung Association. What's in a cigarette? What's in a cigarette? There are approximately 600 ingredients in cigarettes. When burned, cigarettes create more than 7,000 chemicals. When burned, cigarettes create more than 7,000 chemicals. At least 69 of these chemicals are known to cause cancer, and many are toxic. At least 69 of these chemicals are known to cause cancer, and many are toxic. Many of these chemicals are found in consumer products. These products have warning labels such as rat poison packaging. While the public is warned about the danger of the poisons in these products, there is no such warning for the toxins in tobacco smoke. Okay, now this is from the American Lung Association at lung.org, lung, L-U-N-G.org. What's in a cigarette? So you have to then ask the question, well, why are cigarette manufacturers disproportionately targeting African Americans with menthol cigarettes, and what is the negative effect of this? Okay, and how do we fight against this? All right, so we'll talk about that on today's show. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here. On the African History Network show, we deal with current events and history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can sign up for our email newsletter there as well. Okay, I want to go to this first story here. This deals with Dave Chappelle. We're going to clip number one. Shakita from Good Morning America. Let's go to clip number 1. Dave Chappelle attacked on stage during stand-up set. Let's go to clip number 1. Dave Chappelle attacked on stage by armed man while performing at LA's Hollywood Bowl. So this happened overnight. CBS News is reporting on this from May 4th, 2020. Let's go to the clip. Let's go to the clip.
The suspect was reportedly armed with a gun and a knife. Kaylee Harping is there with the latest. Good morning, Kaylee.
Good morning, George. Dave Chappelle has been known to stir up controversy, but this chaotic scene was not meant to be a part of his show. Walking into the Hollywood Bowl last night, you were supposed to check your cell phone, but of course, some made it in and captured this shocking attack on Dave Chappelle. Overnight superstar comedian Dave Chappelle tackled on stage in the middle of a performance at the Hollywood Bowl.
On Highland at the Hollywood Bowl, suspect was armed with a gun and a knife, and by for additional.
Subject said no black Henry, 85 years wearing a black hat, blue flannel, gray pants.
According to the LAPD, the assailant, who was in the audience, carried a knife that looked like a gun, climbed onto the stage, and attacked Chappelle in the middle of his set. The man then ran behind a screen on stage. Chappelle reported to the audience the man was being stomped. The suspect was immediately detained by the venue's security team and later taken to the hospital with superficial injuries. ABC News has learned Chris Rock, who performed earlier in the night, came back on stage with Chappelle moments after the attack and joked, "Was that Will Smith?" referencing the infamous slap he received from the movie star on Oscar night. Chappelle and Rock were performing in the comedy showcase Netflix A Joke, the festival. Chappelle was able to continue with the show without injury. The LAPD identifying suspect arrested as 23-year-old Isaiah Lee. He's being held on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon, with bail set at $30,000. And a star-studded crowd witnessed this. In addition to Chris Rock, Jon Stewart was also performing, and Jamie Foxx was there too. Foxx actually running on stage to help security stop the attacker. After the show, Dave Chappelle thanked Foxx, and Foxx said of Chappelle, "We must protect him at all costs." Guys.
Scary situation.
Scary. That was. Glad he's okay.
Okay, pause it right there. Pause it right there. Okay, we're going to pick this up on the other side of the break. So that was from Good Morning America this morning. CBS News has a update from the CBS Evening News. We're going to go to that clip when we come back from the break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Jeanette Davis is a well-established author with 6 published books. Black Survival in White America from Past History to the Next Century was published in 1995, and it delves into the history of African Americans before slavery up to contemporary times. The Great Divide Between Blacks and Whites was released in 2008, and her autobiography, Black Just Like My Mama, was published in 2010. Soulful Journey, The Business of Beings, was released in December 2021, and her 2 latest books, Echoes from the Heart, Love Throws Poetry, and Master Being Human, were both published in January of 2022. Jeanette Davis' writings delve deeply into the psyche of Black people from ancient to contemporary times. She cuts no corners and leaves no stones unturned in relating truth, letting the chips fall where they may on both African and European doorsteps. Order Jeanette Davis's books today at Amazon.com. Search for Jeanette Davis and get to know her work today.
STEM Forward, helping our community find their place in the emerging fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Join us for our monthly live stream on our website, stemforwardedu.org. Watch, subscribe, share. Also join our mailing list to stay up to date with STEM resources and opportunities. STEM Forward, the future is now. Watch, subscribe, share.
On the African History Network show, we deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. It was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. All right, the calling number is 313-643-9797. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. If you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600. Let me correct that there. Okay. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about the story dealing with Dave Chappelle in LA and being attacked on stage. He was tackled on stage. If we look quickly here, we're going to clip number 2 here in just a second, please, Shakita, from CBS News. If we look at this updated story here from CBS News that was posted at 7:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Dave Chappelle attacked on stage by armed man while performing at LA's Hollywood Bowl. Okay, so this happened last night. Comedian Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage by an armed man Tuesday night, May 3rd, Tuesday night, as he performed at Los Angeles Hollywood Bowl Arena, Los Angeles Hollywood Bowl Arena, with videos from audience members, cell phones quickly flooding social media and showing a man appear to run onto the stage and tackle Dave Chappelle. Now, the Los Angeles Police Department said a 23-year-old man pointed a weapon later determined to be a replica handgun. Determined to be a replica handgun that contained a knife blade, and he had this on him when he attacked Dave Chappelle. So here is the actual weapon obtained by the LAPD. It's a replica semi-automatic handgun, and you see the knife blade attached, appears to the barrel of the handgun. A little short knife blade, probably about a 3-inch knife blade attached to the barrel of the handgun, it appears. Now, the suspect, identified as Isaiah Lee of Los Angeles, was arrested and accused of assault with the weapon. Dave Chappelle was not injured in the attack. Now, following the incident, Isaiah Lee was transported to the hospital for medical treatment for injuries, before being taken to the police station and arrested. He is being held on a $30,000 bail. Now, Dave Chappelle's representative, Carla Sims, SIMS, said in a statement that Chappelle is fully cooperating with the active investigation into this incident. Okay, so we saw I saw video that people shot from their cell phones. Okay, and we saw video of apparently Isaiah Lee on the stretcher after the incident. Okay, and he was looked like he was the security subdued him. His arm is in a strange position, not exactly sure of if anything's broken or what have you. So I'm going to wait to get some accurate information before I talk about that. But his face appears to be bleeding. So, they stopped him, and I don't think he's going to try that again. Let me just put it like that. I don't think he's going to try that again anytime soon. So, but this is causing comedians. Now, if you go back to, we're going to clip 2 in just a second, Shakita. If you go back to when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, after that, on, I think it was Ellen DeGeneres' show or another one of the talk shows, Wanda Sykes, who was one of the 3 co-hosts of the Oscars, Wanda Sykes talked about how she was traumatized by the incident. And she also talked about, either in that interview or shortly after that, she talked about, being apprehensive about performing on stage again. Okay. because Will Smith came up on stage and slapped Chris Rock. Now, I'm not blaming Will Smith for this or anything like this. However, I follow different comedians, different entertainers on social media, especially Instagram. And some of them are talking about an increased anxiety they have of performing on stage because of because of what happened, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Okay. So I think you're going to see increased security, especially at comedy shows, and you never know when you have somebody in the audience who is unstable. Okay. You never know if you have somebody in the audience who's mentally unstable and could be triggered. Now I want to go to clip number 2. This is from CBS News, CBS Evening News from today. They have an update on the story. Let's go to clip 2, please, Shakita. Okay, while we cue that up. Now, Dave Chappelle, whose unapologetic humor has made him a lightning rod.
After comedian Dave Chappelle was
Go ahead.
attacked on stage last night in Los Angeles. Chappelle was not injured, but the incident could have turned tragic. Police said the man who rushed the stage was carrying a knife. CBS's Lilia Luciano has the details.
Dave Chappelle never saw it coming. The man police have identified as 23-year-old Isaiah Lee started on stage and delivered a powerful body tackle that appeared to knock the wind out of Chappelle. Security quickly subdued the man off to the side while Chappelle gathered himself and carried on.
Y'all want to rock?
Police say Lee had a replica gun with a knife blade tucked inside. Appearing bruised and with a shoulder injury, he was taken to the hospital and later charged with felony assault with a deadly weapon.
We got to make sure we protect him at all times, man.
Comedians Jamie Foxx and Chris Rock were there. Rock delivered a punchline more than a month in the making.
Was that Will Smith?
Police have not offered a motive for last night's attack.
I do not know or understand at this point that this was a targeted event.
Last night was the latest high-profile attack on a comedian. Curtis Shaw's Flag recently tightened security at the Laugh Factory in Chicago after an audience member attempted to rush the stage. Is it that people can't take jokes anymore?
More and more people are taking it very personally in really responding in a way that I never imagined.
Chappelle has recently generated intense criticism over several jokes about transgender people, but has not formally apologized. Lilia Luciano, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Okay. All right. So, like I said before, I don't think Isaiah's going to try that again. All right. So, Busta Rhymes was there. Jamie Foxx. And there's a bunch of security when you watch the video. They have clips of it here in the article from CBS News. He tackles him. You see right here. He tackles him, and let me see if we can. I want to kill the audio because I want to make sure ain't no expletives coming. You see right there, But luckily, Dave Chappelle was not hurt. Okay, because this could have been a lot worse. All right. So we'll update you as we get more information. All right. I want to go to this next story here. This is dealing with something very serious, but I don't think people are really taking this as seriously as they should. And this deals with the proposed ban by the Food and Drug Administration on menthol cigarettes, And this is done to save lives. And menthol cigarettes disproportionately target African Americans. Okay. We know that 85% of people who smoke menthol cigarettes are African Americans. There's a good article from NPR, National Public Radio, how the tobacco industry targeted Black Americans, how the tobacco industry targeted Black Americans. Okay, so we're going to deal with this on the other side of the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. Superstation of Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
STEM Forward, helping our community find their place in the emerging fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Join us for our monthly live stream on our website, stemforwardedu.org. Watch, subscribe, share. Also join our mailing list to stay up to date with STEM resources and opportunities. STEM Forward, the future is now. Watch, subscribe, share.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. And I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kaima McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds in real time.
910, the Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. Superstation, the Future Radio. All right. Be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the 10-week online history class I teach on Saturdays. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Kemet's one of the original names for Egypt. This is a 10-week online class that I teach. It's very visual. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. It's about 50, really over 50 articles that I reference in the class. We do with thousands of years of history, what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We do with the African presence in the Americas, going back at least 56,000 years. We do with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Okay, so the class is on sale, $80, regularly $130. As soon as you register, you can watch class number 1. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. So even a year or 2 years from now, you'll still have access to the full class. You can go back and watch it. All right. The new documentary, Heavy is the Crown, from director Amadeus Christ, who directed Out of Darkness, is available also at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And we also have a bundle pack as well for that. So you get more information about that. If you have any questions, you can also email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Some of you saw the picture that I took with Professor James Small. We were both speakers at the One Africa Power and Unity Conference this weekend here in Detroit. So the Heavy is the Crown documentary features Professor James Small, Professor Kabahaya Watha Kamene, Tony Browder, Dr. Chike. I think Dr. Chike Aku was in there as well. We've had him on the show also, and others. All right, so you'll hear more about that, but that's available at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, I want to get to this story here. So we talked about this story dealing with menthol cigarettes. We talked about this last year. There was an article from the New York Times. Menthol cigarettes kill many Black people. A ban may be finally near. Menthol cigarettes kill many Black people. A ban may be finally near. So there was an article that we discussed previously from the New York Times from March 22nd, 2021. Okay, this one right here. And we are closer to the Food and Drug Administration banning menthol cigarettes. All right, so this article here from March 2021, New York Times: menthol cigarettes kill many Black people. A ban may finally be near. Advocates are hoping that President Biden will soon come out in favor of banning mint-flavored cigarettes and other tobacco products. All right, so the banning of menthol cigarettes, the mint-flavored products, that have been aggressively marketed to Black Americans has long been an elusive goal for public health regulators. But COVID-19 and the Black Lives Matter movement have put new pressure on Congress and the White House to reduce racial health disparities, And there are few starker examples than this. African American smokers smoke less, but die of heart attacks, strokes, and other causes linked to tobacco use at higher rates than white smokers do, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Okay, African American smokers smoke less, but die of heart attacks, strokes, and other causes linked to tobacco use at higher rates than white smokers. It's not just dying of lung cancer, okay, or it's not just dying of cancer. It's heart attacks, strokes, and other causes linked to tobacco usage. Now, 85% of Black smokers use Newport cigarettes or Cool cigarettes and other menthol brands that are easier to become addicted to and harder to quit than plain tobacco, according to the Food and Drug Administration. All right, so read the rest of this article here. Menthol cigarettes kill many Black people. A ban may be finally near. Now, this is from March 22nd, 2021, the New York Times. Okay, so if we look at the story here from I want to look at this one here from April 29th, 2022, from National Public Radio, npr.org. This piece right here, how the tobacco industry targeted Black Americans with menthol smokes, how the tobacco industry targeted Black America with menthol smokes. Okay, so and on the cover page, I print up this article. On the cover page, you see Newport cigarettes. You see a Newport ad and a Cool Jazz Festival ad where Cool Cigarettes sponsored this jazz festival. Now, there's an ad for Newport cigarettes from 2011 that features a young Black couple smiling and flirting over a plate of burger and fries. Beneath them reads the tagline, pleasure. Okay, this ad here. And I remember back in the day, Ebony magazine, okay, and cigarette ads in Ebony magazine, okay. A different ad in this campaign has another young Black couple smiling over a park bench by some rafters while one of them holds a cigarette. Another ad features, yes, another young Black couple smiling and laughing, this time at a coffee shop. Now, menthol cigarettes have been historically heavily marketed toward African Americans. And that's had a strong enough impact that when the Food and Drug Administration proposed a ban on menthol cigarettes yesterday, okay, April 28th, all right, 2022, the agency specifically noted that the move would save the lives of between 92,000 to 238,000 African Americans. Banning menthol cigarettes, according to the estimate from the Food and Drug Administration, would save the lives of between 92,000 to 238,000 African Americans. Quote, "It's a long time coming," said Keith Waylow, author of the book Pushing Cool, Big Tobacco, Racial Marketing, and the Untold Story of Menthol Cigarette. So when people ask, now, you know, on our Sunday show, we talked about, we started going through the 19-page document that breaks down how the policies from the Biden-Harris administration are benefiting African Americans. You know, we started doing that. We've been going through that here on this show because we actually deal with like real substance here. Okay, not a whole bunch of nonsense. We deal with facts and evidence. So we're going to do a follow-up to that story this Sunday because we're on for 2 hours on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. We started going through this document right here that's at whitehouse.gov that very few people are talking about. came out February 28th, 2022, is the update to the document that came out October 2021 at whitehouse.gov. Okay, they updated this. It's 19 pages. I printed it out. I'm going through it. Those who came by my vendor table at the One Africa Power and Unity Conference here in Detroit this past weekend, some of the people that came by and they listened to my show, I showed them this document, told them take a picture of the cover of it, go to whitehouse.gov and read it. Because this is talked about very little here in mainstream media. Okay, we're going to do a follow-up and get deeper into this on our Sunday show to break this down. You can add to this, okay, banning menthol cigarettes, which will save African-American lives. So in addition to 33% of African-American children being lifted out of poverty by the American Rescue Plan, the child tax credit and the American Rescue Plan, in addition to that, okay, in addition to $5.8 billion in aid going to HBCUs in 2021, which is a record number of funding for HBCUs for 1 year. In addition to all that, in addition to the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill being passed, and the first time an anti-lynching bill has been passed in 122 years, we've been fighting for an anti-lynching bill since 1900. In addition to all that, you can add trying to save African-American lives by banning menthol cigarettes. In addition to all this stuff that's in here, 19 pages, and it deals with how the infrastructure bill will help us. It deals with how the American Rescue Plan has helped us. In addition to all that, you can add to saving between 92,000 and 238,000 African-American lives as well by banning menthol cigarettes, if you just want to deal with some tangibles. Okay, let's continue. So let's go back to this article here from NPR. So Keith Wailoo, author of the book Pushing Cool, Big Tobacco, Racial Marketing, and the Untold Story of the Menthol Cigarette, he said banning menthol cigarettes is a long time coming. Okay, now in 1964, federal regulators barred tobacco companies from advertising to their key youth demographic. In 1964, tobacco companies barred the federal regulators, I should say, barred tobacco companies from advertising to their youth demographic. That meant no advertising on college campuses. No advertising on college campuses. No handing out free loose cigarettes to people under 21 years old. Quote, it's then that the industry began to pivot aggressively towards marketing, towards target marketing in Black communities. Okay. After those markets were closed to them and they couldn't advertise on college campuses, things like this, according to Keith Wailoo, author of the book Pushing Cool, Big Tobacco, Racial Marketing, and the Untold Story of the Menthol Cigarette, then tobacco companies started to aggressively pivot towards targeting the African-American community. All right. So a lot of Black periodicals like Ebony Magazine became, now I'm not talking Ebony, okay, but I remember seeing those ads and they made it look cool. They made it look cool. Okay. A lot of Black periodicals like Ebony Magazine became so dependent on tobacco advertising that they were silent on the devastating impact of smoking in the African-American community. The push went beyond just imagery in magazines and billboards. Tobacco industries specifically found influencers in Black communities, Keith Wailoo said. He said it could be a barber, a bellhop at a hotel, and gave them free samples to build markets surreptitiously. The companies also sponsored events like the Cool Jazz Festival, Cool Cigarettes, the Cool Jazz Festival that included an ad of Dizzy Gillespie next to a pack of Cools. Okay, we're coming up on a break. We'll continue this on the other side of the break, dealing with how the tobacco industry targeted African Americans with menthol cigarettes that are more addictive than regular cigarettes. You listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Abundant Capital Group is a real estate investment company with over 20 years of experience in real estate. They specialize in two areas of real estate. One, they solve real estate problems with creative financing solutions that give the seller the most money for their property. And two, They show individuals how to get a higher rate of return on their investment capital with real estate note investing. If you are looking to sell or need to sell your property, here is what they provide. Market value offer, even if you have little or no equity. They typically pay all closing costs, which can be thousands of dollars. They close on a date of the seller's choosing, and the seller does not have to be out of the house at the time of closing. They take the property in an as-is condition, and the seller is not required to make any repairs. Give them a call or email them today for a free consultation and see how they can help you with your real estate needs. Call them at 973-475-8488. That's 973-475-8488. Visit their website, abundantcapitalgroup.com. That's abundantcapitalgroup.com. And email them at acg@abundantcapitalgroup.com. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Abundant Capital Group.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. And I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kaima McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on, to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds in real time.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation. Okay, we're going to clip number 3 from PBS NewsHour, Shakita. Clip number 3. All right. So right before the break, we were talking about how the tobacco industry targeted African Americans, how the tobacco industry targeted African Americans with menthol cigarettes. Okay, so advertising in periodicals like magazines like Ebony Magazine, sponsoring things like the Cool Jazz Festival. Okay, according to a 2018 national survey on drug use and health, 85% of Black smokers preferred menthol cigarettes. 85% of Black smokers preferred menthol cigarettes. The Food and Drug Administration had banned flavored cigarettes from being manufactured or sold in 2009, but menthol cigarettes slipped by because of a split in the Congressional Black Caucus, many of whom looked to campaign donations and support, said Keith Walu. Now, yesterday's move by the FDA was encouraged by the NAACP, which sent out a statement earlier in the week noting the tobacco industry's, quote, egregious marketing practices, including giving out free cigarettes. Isn't that what drug dealers do? Give out free samples? I'm just curious. You know, I know Mrs. Fields Cookies does that, but, you know, we're talking about nicotine is addictive. It's a drug. Quote, this pattern of activity continues today with expanded marketing strategies like supporting and providing sponsorship funding for events, supporting various Black leaders with financial support, discounting menthol products in Black neighborhoods, and abundant advertising in stores frequented by Black communities, reads the statement from the NAACP, which notes that the NAACP notes that they themselves received funding from the tobacco industry until 2 decades ago. The NAACP noted in their statement that they received funding from the tobacco industry until 2 decades ago. I want to go to this clip here from PBS NewsHour that discusses this. Let's go to this clip, please. Clip number 3, Shakita.
After considering doing so off and on for more than a decade, the FDA is forging ahead with a proposal to ban menthol-flavored cigarettes. If finalized this summer, the move is expected to reduce smoking levels, but the decision has been met with both praise and criticism. Stephanie Sy has our look.
Judy, menthol accounts for more than a third of all cigarettes sold in the U.S., and the cooling, minty flavor is the most popular among certain smokers. Nearly 85% of black smokers use menthol, compared to 30% of white smokers. More than half of all kids who smoke use menthol cigarettes. The FDA said the ban could prevent up to 650,000 smoking deaths over 40 years. Carol Magruder is the co-chair of the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council and Advocacy Group. Carol Magruder, thank you so much for joining us. Banning menthol cigarettes, really, it's been discussed for years under different presidential administrations. How big of a deal is it that this FDA under Biden is finally making this move?
This is a monumental day in public health. The day of the century, I would say, of the last 100 years, this ruling is that important. We want to make sure people know it's not done. This is the beginning of that process, and so we still need to very much participate in it, and we need to understand that the tobacco industry could also have lawsuits to block it. So this is the beginning of the end, not the end, but it's a monumental day, and the FDA is finally doing what they were mandated to do in 2009 when the Tobacco Control Act was passed, and that was to do something about menthol. So it's taken a lot of push, a lawsuit on our part, with our co-plaintiffs, Action on Smoking and Health, and the American Medical Association and the National Medical Association to get them to move, and they finally have, and we are very grateful.
The FDA statement out today explained the effects of menthol cigarettes, and one of the facts that I think a lot of people may not know is that the flavor actually enhances the addictive effects of nicotine. We also know they are the most preferred cigarettes among black smokers, which your group specifically focuses on, Carol. Talk about some of the ways in which tobacco companies over the years have pushed these cigarettes on black communities.
Well, through the tobacco industry's own documents that were released as a part of litigation over all these years, there have been some research papers that have come out. One is called Institutional Racism. The other one is Smoking with the Enemy. And it documents in the tobacco industry from their own documents how they have preyed upon African Americans, how they had special quote-unquote urban programs for black people. They distributed free cigarettes in our communities across this country to children as young as 9 years old. One of those children was Dave Chappelle. When he was 14 years old, he was given free cigarettes in Washington, D.C. in the metro station. And he talks about in some of his interviews how he went home and he decided he was going to learn how to smoke. And so that seeding of these deadly addictive products in our communities has been going on for decades. And while we've been very busy fighting for civil rights and all of the other things that have happened with black people in this country, the tobacco industry has been there in the background, addicting us each generation after generation. In the last 20 years, there have been 1 million black people who have died from tobacco-induced diseases. My mother died from breast cancer. We do all kinds of research on what causes breast cancer. We know what caused these 1 million deaths. What caused these 1 million deaths was the tobacco industry.
And yet, Carol, there are critics of the ban. They worry it will have unintended consequences, specifically on the black community. Family members of Eric Garner, George Floyd, and Trayvon Martin, as you know, all victims of excessive police force, have signed a joint letter to the Biden administration which says, our fear is that banning the manufacture and sale of menthol cigarettes will not stop their production or purchase, but will instead open the floodgates for smuggling. While we have been told black smokers will not be criminalized for possessing menthol cigarettes, that does not match our experience with other cigarette policies. Carol, what's your response to those concerns?
My response to those concerns are that we have a problem in our country with racism and with the policing of black bodies, and that is a fact. And that for the tobacco industry, I know that Reverend Al.
Okay, we're out of time here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to continue. We're going to continue that clip on our social media. We're going to keep broadcasting. And then I want you to hear the question that April Ryan, White House correspondent for thegrio.com, the question she asked Jen Psaki at a White House press briefing about menthol cigarettes on April 29th. Be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can support us through Cash App and PayPal, register for our online classes, order Heavy as the Crown, the documentary that deals with the African origins of religion, the three Western religions. 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Okay, stand by. All right, let's keep going. We're going to finish this up, and I want you to hear the White House press briefing also. Check out this article here. CNN has a good article on this topic also. Ban on menthol cigarettes and flavored cigarettes could save hundreds of thousands of lives, experts say. This is from Wednesday, April 27th, 2022. And then thehill.com has this piece here from April 28th, 2022. Ban on menthol cigarettes divides Black Americans. Ban on menthol cigarettes divides Black Americans. You can check this one out also. All right. Let me pull up this clip here. All right. Let me cue this up. Let's see here. Okay. Cool.
As you know, all victims of excessive police force have signed a joint letter to the Biden administration, which says, our fear is that banning the manufacture and sale of menthol cigarettes will not stop their production or purchase, but will instead open the floodgates for smuggling. While we have been told Black smokers will not be criminalized for possessing menthol cigarettes, that does not match our experience with other cigarette policies. Carol, what's your response to those concerns?
My response to those concerns are that we have a problem in our country with racism and with the policing of Black bodies, and that is a fact. And that for the tobacco industry, I know that Reverend Al Sharpton and his group, they actually receive money from Reynolds American, which is Newport Cigarettes, and that he has been one of the people traveling around the country with this dialogue. And I respect Reverend Al. He's done tremendous work in our community. But on this issue, it's really the tobacco industry that is behind it. So that's the group that has killed 1 million Black people in these past 20 years. There are other national organizations that are in full support of taking these products off the market. No one loves a Black smoker or Black people more than the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council. That is why we exist, is to protect our people from this predation. So this is not the end to pass legislation, it's the beginning. And we are all on board. Public health is on board. This is not about criminalizing Black smokers. This is about helping Black smokers and stopping another generation of Black children from being addicted to these products. Our neighborhoods do not have to be this way. And that's what we're saying. It's a new day. We are grateful to get to this day.
That is the next step. Carol Magruder with the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council. Thank you so much for joining the News Hour.
Thank you so much.
Okay. That was Carol Magruder, April 28th, 2022. That's on PBS NewsHour's YouTube channel. FDA proposal to ban menthol cigarettes is met with praise and criticism. Okay, that's the name of that clip. Now, the statement here from, if we go to the article from thehill.com, that talks about Biden's planned ban on menthol cigarettes divides Black Americans. They reference Reverend Al Sharpton in here, and they have a statement from him. It says, but some top leaders have taken a loud stance against moving forward with the ban, including activist Reverend Al Sharpton and attorney Ben Crump. Quote, we have not said we opposed it. We have not said we opposed it. What we said was we like to see a study, a commission to study how they deal with the unintended consequences, how they deal with the unintended consequences before they impose a ban, Reverend Al Sharpton said in an interview with TheHill.com. Eric Garner's mother, as well as Trayvon Martin's mother and George Floyd's mother, penned a letter to the White House last week urging the administration to make an effort to fully comprehend the criminal justice implications the ban could have on the African-American community. All three maintained in the letter to Susan Rice, the director of the Domestic Policy Council, that they in no way encourage, support, or promote smoking. Okay, they in no way encourage, support, or promote smoking. Quote, "This is how her son got killed," Reverend Al Sharpton said, referring to Eric Garner's mother. How could anybody ignore interactions between police and the Black community if they're increased because of a ban? He went on to say, if a policeman sees a guy standing on the corner smoking a cool, he's asking, where did you get that from? And that will lead to interaction. But the FDA is not saying this is going to be enforced by police on somebody who has cool cigarettes. This is dealing with manufacturing menthol cigarettes. The FDA doesn't say that police are going to be empowered to stop people who they suspect of having a menthol cigarette. Now, Reverend Al Sharpton also suggested that the push to legalize marijuana in the U.S. could directly conflict with the effort to ban menthol cigarettes. Okay, the difference is menthol cigarettes nicotine is addictive, and marijuana is not like addictive like nicotine is addictive. Okay, so it's not the same thing. That puts us in an awkward position as ministers, Sharpton said. Grandma can't smoke her cools, but Jamal can smoke his weed. He didn't talk about how addictive nicotine is, especially how addictive menthol cigarettes are. He skipped over all of that. Now, law enforcement officials are also expressing concerns about the ban, arguing that it would result in police and their resources being stretched thin. There's really, from what I read, no clear-cut enforcement component, said Elliot Boyce, director of the New York State Police Employee Assistance Program, New York State Police Employee Assistance Program, because there's no clear-cut law enforcement component that's going to leave law enforcement at a loss to try and figure out how to enforce these bans. Now, Boyce added that a ban would not necessarily do anything to stop the illegal selling of menthol cigarettes and could expand an illicit market for the cigarettes. On top of that, some law enforcement officials argue the ban does not have tough enough enforcement measures in place. Okay. So you can read the rest of this. Now, sources estimate that Big Tobacco has spent millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, to fight a ban over the last 20 years through federal and state lobbying. Reynolds, which makes Newport cigarettes, America's top-selling menthol cigarette brand, is reportedly sponsoring Reverend Al Sharpton's work. Okay, now Reverend Al Sharpton responded against the allegations that he and other opponents of the ban have ties to the tobacco industry, saying their push has nothing to do with money. Quote, he said, Reverend Al Sharpton said, they come to our conferences. They didn't come this year, referring to the tobacco companies. He said they have worked with our secession program because we insisted on that, but so does Michael Bloomberg, who's funding some of these that are for the ban. So I'm not sure if Reverend Al Sharpton has said how much funding he's received from Reynolds that makes Newports. I'm not sure if he said, but it'd be interesting to know. He said, I think that they're trying to find a cheap way of not having to answer the question of unintended consequences. Reverend Al Sharpton said, referring to his critics who support the ban, "I think it's ridiculous." Now, the campaign for tobacco-free kids is funded by former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg philanthropies. In 2020, in the year 2020, the House of Representatives passed a measure to ban flavors of tobacco products. Okay. 2020, U.S. House of Representatives passed a measure to ban flavors of tobacco products, including menthol cigarettes. That measure stalled in the U.S. Senate. The majority of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus voted for the ban at the time in 2020. Representative Robin Kelly, who supports the ban, noted there is a small divide in the Black community on the issue. Okay. Quote, part of that is due to concerns over policing and police brutality. Those are valid concerns, she said. However, when you look at the disproportionality, disproportionately high rates of menthol tobacco use in African American communities compared to white communities, and the resulting disproportionately high rates of tobacco-related illnesses and disease among African American communities, I have to support the ban. Once again, the Food and Drug Administration estimates that banning menthol cigarettes will save between 92,000 and 238,000 African American lives. Okay. And overall, is estimated to save over the next 40 years, it's estimated to save about 640,000 lives over the next, about 650,000 lives over the next 40 years. Okay. All right. Now, other Democrats are speaking out against the ban. The prohibition era with alcohol did not work, and I believe it's government overreach to ban the sale of popular tobacco products, said Representative Elaine Luria, Democrat from Virginia. Okay, well, you're comparing the Prohibition era, because Prohibition era prohibited in the 1930s, banned all alcohol. Here, you're talking about menthol cigarettes, which are more addictive than regular cigarettes. So you're not talking about banning all cigarettes. You're talking about banning menthol cigarettes that are more addictive than regular cigarettes, number one. Number two, disproportionately target the African-American community, means more dead Black people. So going back and saying prohibition didn't work, I mean, to me, that's just a nonsensical argument. Representative Sanford Bishop, Democrat from Georgia, a member of the CBC, argued against stricter requirements for products preferred by communities of color. He said a ban would possibly lead to illegal and unlicensed distribution. He said the banning of the methanol cigarettes or menthol cigarettes would certainly push those people to prefer that to the illegal and illicit acquisition of these products. End quote. Now, the move to ban cigarettes at the federal level could be indicative of a trend taking shape at the local level. San Diego City Council voted on Monday, which was April 25th. That would have been April 25th. They voted Monday, April 25th, in a 7-2 vote to pass legislation that would ban the sale of certain flavored tobacco products and menthol cigarettes. Now, some have questioned the federal ban's political impact, especially in a midterm election year. A survey reported by the Washington Free Beacon, which is a right-wing Republican publication, found that voters in the swing states of Georgia, North Carolina, and Nevada overwhelmingly opposed the ban. Okay. The ban could also impact African-American voters, many of whom have been supporters of President Biden and the Biden administration. But others have brushed off this notion, arguing that there are more pressing electoral issues at hand, like inflation. Inflation is important, but saving Black people's lives is also important as well. I thought Black Lives Matter. So fighting inflation is important, but saving 230,000 to what was the number, 900,000 or whatever the number is, African American lives, saving 92,000 to 238,000 African American lives. I thought Black Lives Matter. I think that's important as well. We're talking about mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, aunts, uncles. Inflation is important, but I also thought Black Lives Matter. Quote, Black Americans first care more about the fact that the voting rights provision and the voter suppression bills are moving fast and furious in various states and localities, white of the NAACP told The Hill. Yeah, that's true, but the Food and Drug Administration don't have nothing to do with the voting rights bills. The Food and Drug Administration is doing their job. Okay, so the voting rights bills, the voter suppression bills are in state legislatures. That don't have nothing to do with the Food and Drug Administration. People act like different departments can't do different things at the same time. Just quote, Black people, I don't believe, will be so wrong by this one particular issue without looking at this open issue that is so important, the economy. You do realize that like 4,000 people that work in the Biden administration, or at least 4,000. People want jobs. People want jobs that are protected. Okay. It's like almost 8 million jobs that have been created by the Biden Harris administration. Who the hell is this person? Almost 8 million jobs created by the Biden Harris administration. Record number of jobs in the first year of a president is about 6.4 million. Who's this dumbass? I'm about to contact them. It's just ridiculous. Okay. You're talking about the Food and Drug Administration. That like Congress can't do one thing over here. State legislatures can't do something over here. And the Food and Drug Administration can't do something over here. It's just stupid. So I want to go to this clip here from, we're going to look at the article very quickly here from CNN, because CNN has a good piece on this also. But I want you to hear what happened at the White House press briefing on April 29th. So April Ryan, who was just recognized at the White House Correspondents' Dinner that they just had this past weekend, I think it was. She was recognized for 25 years of being a White House correspondent, African-American woman, April Ryan. I met her before the Congressional Black Caucus Weekend conference. Brilliant sister. She's the White House correspondent for thegrio.com now. She on April 28th, the press briefing, April 28th, she asked Jen Psaki, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, about the proposed ban on menthol cigarettes. Okay. And let's go to that clip.
In order to recover, we provide assistance, economic and humanitarian assistance, to a range of countries around the world because that's part of American leadership. And so I would say that's the reasoning for this assistance being proposed in the package. Go ahead.
Jen, on menthol, going back to the opposition in the Black community. I talked to Congresswoman Frederica Wilson today, and she said she's opposing it. She says the president should not only deal with menthol, but ban all instead of just menthol. She feels that it will cause a profiling issue. And she also says this is something that should not be dealt with in the midterms because it will split the Black community. What do you say to that? And are you talking to Frederica Wilson, Al Sharpton, Ben Crump and others about this very issue?
Well, let me try to answer all your questions there. I'm sure you'll let me know if I don't, April, of course. This is a public health decision made by the FDA. And the objective of it was not to address politics or handle politics in one way or another, but to save lives. And the studies estimate that with menthol cigarettes, if they're no longer available, it could prevent over 650,000 deaths, including 238,000 African Americans. There are also high rates of use by children and young adults. Menthol also increases the appeal of cigarettes, makes them easier to use, especially for kids. And what we have seen, as you know, is decades of targeted marketing activities at the African American community to promote further purchasing and in many ways, and for many, addiction to these cigarettes. So this is not, but what I think is important for everybody to know and understand, including opponents, is this is not targeting individuals. This is not to give anybody license to arrest somebody who is smoking a cigarette, a menthol cigarette. This is going after the manufacturers of this. It is going after those who are selling, because we have seen decades of marketing targeted activities at exactly these communities.
With that said, as you say, decades, I mean, there's been efforts to stop the targeting through billboards in urban communities in the 90s and on. This is decades old, but why now? There's been progression, but why now instead of other issues?
Well, I think, again, this is a public health decision that went through a public health process. It wasn't made through a political prism or made, for any other reason than the lives that it could save.
Good.
Thank you,
All
Jen.
right.
At least 7 sailors have died by suicide.
All right. So that was the White House press briefing that took place on April 28th. And that is at whitehouse.gov. That's at the White House's YouTube channel. And hold on this second here. Where is this? That's at the White House's YouTube channel. Let me stop this clip here. All right, that's at the White House's YouTube channel. That's from White House press briefing from April 28th, 2022. And let's see here. If we look quickly, so the name of the article from thehill.com that I cited that had the quote from Reverend Al Sharpton: Biden's planned ban on menthol cigarettes divides Black Americans. Okay. Now, the people who oppose this, they haven't said how they haven't given their proposal to save 200 and stay between 92,000 and 900 between 92,000 and 238,000 African American lives. They haven't given their proposal to do that, by the way. Just pay close attention to that. So read this article here from April 28th. And then CNN has this piece from April 27th, Wednesday, April 27th. Ban on menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars could save hundreds of thousands of lives, experts say. And they go on page 2. They talk page 2, menthol by the numbers. Menthol by the numbers. Menthol is an equity issue that the FDA has been considering for more than a decade. Okay, now this is as close as they've come to banning menthol cigarettes, which will save African American lives. Okay, I just want people to pay attention to this. About 18.6 million people smoke menthols in the U.S. That's about 36% of all smokers, according to the FDA, and a disproportionate number are people of color. About 30% of white smokers choose menthols, but they are by far the cigarette of choice for nearly 85% of smokers who are African American. Nearly 85% of African Americans smoke menthol cigarettes. About 40% of women smoke menthols, compared with 31% of men, according to the FDA. Now, we talk about kids. More than half of kids who smoke cigarettes use menthol cigarettes. More than half of kids who smoke cigarettes use menthol cigarettes. A survey of adults who smoke found that the majority started with menthol cigarettes. Other studies said kids who smoked menthol cigarettes were more likely to become regular smokers than occasional smokers. Now, smoking rates in the U.S. reached an all-time low in 2018, according to the CDC, but smoking is still the number one cause of preventable death. Smoking cigarettes is still the number one cause of preventable death, disease, and disability in the U.S. In general, cigarette smoking is responsible for more than 480,000 deaths per year in the U.S., including more than 41,000 deaths from secondhand smoke. Now, cutting out menthol cigarettes and cigars could have a significant effect on the number of smokers. The FDA said, by one estimate, it could prevent 650,000 premature deaths over the next 40 years. Another study projects that an elimination of menthol as a cigarette flavor could would lead 920,000 people to quit smoking, including 230,000 African Americans to quit smoking in the first year and a half. Another study projects that an elimination of menthol as a cigarette flavor would lead to 923,000 people to quit smoking, including 230,000 African Americans to quit smoking in the first year and a half. Okay, so read the rest of this article here from CNN. This is a good piece also. Because I looked at a number of different articles. These are the three I want to talk about. I looked at a number of different articles. I research all these topics here. And this is the result of the research. Okay, so check those out. And also the American Lung Association. At the top of the show, I showed you this from the American Lung Association, which answers the question, what's in a cigarette? There are over approximately 600 ingredients in cigarettes. Approximately 600 ingredients in cigarettes, okay? Only a fraction of those ingredients are listed on the cigarette package. Now, what is on the cigarette package is a big ass label that says, warning, smoking cigarettes could be hazardous to your health. Okay, there are over 600 ingredients in cigarettes. Only a fraction of the ingredients are on the label. But what is on the label is a big ass warning from the Surgeon General. Okay, not General Motors, the Surgeon General saying, warning, smoking cigarettes could be hazardous to your health. When burned, cigarettes create more than 7,000 chemicals. At least 69 of these chemicals are known to cause cancer, and many are toxic. Many of these chemicals are found in consumer products, but these products have warning labels. Okay, so just look at this. At least 69 of these chemicals that are known to cause cancer, and many are toxic. Okay, these are chemicals that are created when you burn cigarettes. Okay, in the cigarette smoke, and you inhale it. Many of these chemicals are found in consumer products, but these products have warning labels on them because of the chemical ingredients in the products, such as rat poison packaging has a warning label on it. But only a fraction of the 600 plus ingredients are on the package of cigarettes. While the public is warned about the danger of the poisons in these various products, There is no such warning for the toxins in tobacco smoke. Here are a few of the chemicals in tobacco smoke. In other places, they are found. Acetone is found in nail polish remover. Acetic acid, an ingredient in hair dye. Ammonia, a common household cleaner. Arsenic is used in rat poison. Benzene is found in rubber cement and gasoline. Butane is used in lighter fluid. Cadmium is an active component in battery acid. Carbon monoxide is released in car exhaust fumes. Formaldehyde is an embalming fluid. Hexamine is found in barbecue lighter fluid. Lead is used in batteries. Naphthalene is an ingredient in mothballs. Methanol, a main component in rocket fuel. Methanol is a main component in rocket fuel. Nicotine is used as an insecticide. Tar is a material used for paving roads. Toluene is used to manufacture paint. Okay, so read the rest of this here. All right, I'm all for banning menthol cigarettes. Should have been banned a long time ago. All right, look, hey, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, pay for these various services that we use. You can also, so we have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, okay? And I'm working on building a new website as well, more user-friendly website. So I'm trying to take care of all that this week. We have the information here. When you go to our Cash App account, because I'm trying to get these fake African History Network Cash App accounts shut down. Our Cash App account is $ the AHN Show, SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael and shows my picture there. All right. These other ones here, and this is, I've identified, I think there are 5 out there that are fake, and they're using our logo, our black and white logo, things like this, and the variations of the AHN Show in their Cash App tag. Those are all fake. We have the link here also in the yellow PayPal donate button. You can listen to audio podcasts. We're on 10 different audio podcast platforms. Download the iHeartRadio app. You can listen to 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF Live, but also search for the African History Network Show, because we have a page there on iHeartRadio. They have about 300 of my audio podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts, Facebook Podcasts. I just got an email from Facebook Podcasts today. They're going to, as of June 3rd, I think they said they're going to discontinue Facebook Podcasts. I like Facebook Podcasts because we're on Facebook Podcasts also, but we're on 10 different audio podcast platforms: iHeartRadio, FM Player, TuneIn, Blog Talk Radio. You can click right here, listen to our podcast on Blog Talk Radio. But wherever you get your audio podcast from, search for the African History Network Show. Okay, you can register for our 10-week online class. We have class number 2 starting up Saturday, May 7th. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa: Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And we have a bundle pack. You get 3 of my online courses. You enroll in 3 of them. It's on sale $120. That's a $285 value. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch time. If you've taken any of my online classes in the past, email me at ahnshow@africanhistorynetwork.com, and you get a 50% discount on the courses, okay? Especially on the bundle class, on the bundle course, the course bundle. All right. Remember, at the African History Network Show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. and I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kaima McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on, to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds in real time.
Jeanette Davis is a well-established author with 6 published books. Black Survival in White America from Past History to the Next Century was published in 1995, and it delves into the history of African Americans before slavery up to contemporary times. The Great Divide Between Blacks and Whites was released in 2008, and her autobiography, Black Just Like My Mama, was published in 2010. Soulful Journey, The Business of Beings, was released in December 2021, and her 2 latest books, Echoes from the Heart, Love Throws Poetry, and Master Being Human, were both published in January of 2022. Jeanette Davis' writings delve deeply into the psyche of Black people from ancient to contemporary times. She cuts no corners and leaves no stones unturned in relating truth, letting the chips fall where they may on both African and European doorsteps. Order Jeanette Davis's books today at Amazon.com. Search for Jeanette Davis and get to know her work today.
STEM Forward, helping our community find their place in the emerging fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Join us for our monthly live stream on our website, stemforwardedu.org. Watch, subscribe, share. Also join our mailing list to stay up to date with STEM resources and opportunities. STEM Forward, the future is now. Watch, subscribe, share.
Abundant Capital Group is a real estate investment company with over 20 years of experience in real estate. They specialize in 2 areas of real estate. 1, they solve real estate problems with creative financing solutions that give the seller the most money for their property. And 2, they show individuals how to get a higher rate of return on their investment capital with real estate note investing. If you are looking to sell or need to sell your property, here is what they provide. Market value offer, even if you have little or no equity. They typically pay all closing costs, which can be thousands of dollars. They close on a date of the seller's choosing, and the seller does not have to be out of the house at the time of closing. They take the property in an as-is condition, and the seller is not required to make any repairs. Give them a call or email them today for a free consultation and see how they can help you with your real estate needs. Call them at 973-475-8488. That's 973-475-8488. Visit their website, abundantcapitalgroup.com. That's abundantcapitalgroup.com. And email them at acg@abundantcapitalgroup.com. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Abundant Capital Group.
What does self-care mean to you? To us, it's an opportunity to reconnect with nature. A chance to create something remarkable. At Sage and Elm Apothecary, our handcrafted skincare and household products immerse you in Earth's sweetest nectar, connecting you to nature in a way you never imagined. See for yourself and visit us at sageandelmapothecary.com.